Hey, yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy, your man's and them, your uncle, Hostile Takeover. About to finish up and do part two of the video I dropped yesterday. So check this out. Why do we have Red Pill? I went all the way back to the Great Depression and started working forward, but I forgot one piece of information. So without recapping everything and making it a super long video, quick points. We went back to the Depression, and a lot of men left the house to find work. A lot of them didn't come back when they got on their feet. The economy picked up, whatever. They didn't go back home to their wife and kids. They started new families. All right. And maybe I shouldn't say a lot, but a lot more did than you think. Then they had their kids, which was called the silent generation. I keep about to say the lost generation. I did that last video too, but it's the silent generation. Went over why they called it the silent generation. But the silent generation was largely out of the house too. But I forgot to add why. They were out of the house because that generation fought two wars. They fought World War II and Korea. So then the boomers came and they were out of the house. But for a whole different reason. They were just fucking selfish. A lot of them did go to Vietnam. That was their war. And a lot of them died. But there were so many of them. They are still the largest generation. They've been dying they're still the largest generation in the country. They've been dying for over 5 years now, en masse. This is the generation where families had a bunch of fucking kids. My grandparents weren't rich at all. They had 8. My mom has 7 brothers and sisters. And that was not uncommon for a family to have 5, 6, and up kids. So when a lot of them came back from Vietnam, started their families, whatever, when shit went wrong, and the marriages, relationships, whatever dissolved, they were just out. Fuck them kids, everybody. They were the original fuck them kids generation. I know my generation says it a lot, but we don't mean it like they mean it. Like, we mean it as a fucking joke. Like, give me a break from these little motherfuckers. Like, I need a day off. They literally said, fuck them kids. And if they weren't with the mom anymore, a lot of them literally didn't have a relationship with their kids. So all the fuck shit really started with them, because the first two generations, what we call the greatest generation and the silent generation, at least had that reason for being out of the house: depression and war. All right. Well, now the Vietnam War lasted 14 fucking years, but most since there was a large draft and most of them didn't want to be there, they did their one tour and went the fuck home. So yeah, the boomers fucked everything up. Everything. And, you know, they were the make love not war generation, which is a cool slogan. I'm not necessarily against that. War should be an absolute last resort in my opinion. But they were also the free love generation, the hippies, and the ones that even weren't hippies were still doing their thing. Experimenting with drugs, you know, lots of sex, all that shit. And they were the ones that started this single mother, like they were the first generation where we had single mothers en masse, where we had STDs on a rise. And they enabled the women of my generation and some of the men to participate in the same shit. Like I said, we talk a whole bunch of shit about thought culture, this, that, and the third. The boomers, our parents and grandparents, were the original fucking 304s and sluts and thoughts. I promise you. Because in the previous generations, if you have premarital sex, especially if you conceived a child, you got the fuck married. Not these. Nope. So then, of course, then came the rise of stepfathers. Now the boomers don't see shit wrong with it. And they taught my generation ain't shit wrong with it, and there fucking is. The boomers started this lawlessness, this there's no accountability for this, that, and the third, because they enabled my generation, Generation X, by seeing us through our fuck shit with no consequences, because they weren't there to guide us. They were busy in the fucking club. They were busy partying, going on these vacations and leaving the kids. The boomers didn't go on family vacations. The boomers went on vacation and dropped your ass off for a week at your neighbor's. Unless it was a road trip or some shit like that. But if they went out of the country or on a cruise, your dumb ass didn't go. So my generation saw that shit and how we got neglected, and we remembered how that shit felt. So we started to correct. The millennials saw that was a good thing and started to correct also. We'll see what Gen Z does, because they're not old enough yet, really. Some of them are, but they're not really into the settle down, have a family stage yet. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, we remember that shit. We remember being home alone for hours on fucking end. We remember all the shit. Now, did it make us tough? Yeah. But it also made us not give a flying fuck about a goddamn thing. Because the people who weren't there to teach us to give a fuck were busy doing their thing. Acting like grown-ass kids. Up in the club in their 30s and 40s and shit. And I keep going back to this guy because he irks my fucking nerves a lot. Steve Harvey. This is the dude trying to tell us, this motherfucker's on his third wife. Third. Trying to tell us how to take care of a woman. Why didn't you take care of the first two? Now, mind you, a motherfucker like Steve Harvey can't tell me shit about a family and kids. Because this is the dude who left his wife and kids at home to become a road comedian. Road comedians don't get paid shit. I know this because I've turned down being a road comedian many times in the last 14 years of me doing fucking comedy. I've been asked to go on a bunch of tours, and I will not do it because I don't want to spend that much time away from my daughter. I'm not going that much time with that, months, being gone for 2 months and not spending time with my daughter. My conscience won't let me do it. My morals won't let me fucking do it. This dude left a whole family, wife and multiple kids at home to drive around the country telling fucking jokes for damn near no money. Road comedians starting off don't make shit. Now, granted, did it pay off in the end? Yeah. He's rich as fuck, then had a sitcom, is hosting Family Feud, had a nationally syndicated radio show, all that. Cool. What's the cost? What's the cost? And while he's over here promoting stepdaddy culture, what is his stepdaughter doing? Because that's not his kid, and she ain't listening to his dumbass advice. And the other reason I keep bringing him up is because he will not stop giving bad fucking advice. He is super indicative of a whole generation that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. This is the dude, you know what I'm saying, of his generation literally left families to go pursue personal selfish shit. And he's not an outlier. It was done a lot. And the dads that stayed, kudos to you guys. More power to you. Thank you for not completely fucking up the next generation. But if you talk to Gen Z kids of parents who divorced, they didn't see their dads a lot. I promise you. And this is also the generation where divorce went on the rise and made it a normal fucking thing. So why do we have red pill? Again, women overcorrecting for civil rights. What they're fighting for now is, part of it is civil rights, part of it is not. All right? But the setup was the males from the last 3 generations before Gen X. Out of the house dads who did not spend time with their kids. And that led to a whole I don't need a man type shit, because one, social programs, which were needed, because at the time, women couldn't do a whole lot or earn a whole lot of money, generally. I mean, as a widespread rule. So those corrections were needed. That help was needed. Then it came to the 80s and 90s where nobody gave a fuck about their kids. They can say they did not. So the kids from the 80s and 90s that were kids, not born, but grew up in the 80s and 90s, the 70s and 80s babies, said, fuck that. We saw what you're doing wrong. We'll figure it out. And we largely have. This is the generation that grew up on rotary phones and analog TV sets. And now I'm talking to you on a computer mounted in my car that was in my pocket a couple of minutes ago. So we went from getting up to change the channel and only having 13 fucking channels and a phone mounted on the wall that you could only have one conversation at a time, to conference calls in our pockets and advanced intelligence. My generation has seen the largest change ever in the history of this country, and it's only going to keep going forward. My generation is the most adaptable. Millennials, arguably the most self-educated, and Gen Z is the most technologically advanced. And these 3 generations are trying to save the fucking planet. At least we think we are. And we're trying to save the culture and society. Meanwhile, Steve Harvey is telling everybody who can fucking, and motherfuckers like him are telling everybody that all a woman has to bring to the table is pussy. That's that bullshit. That's that bullshit old ass boomer thinking. And while women are saying, yeah, we don't got to bring shit to the table but our pussy, he just reduced y'all to your fucking pussy. Don't cheer it. Don't say yes and all that other bullshit y'all say. He just reduced you to pussy. Between third wave feminism and this black pill MGTOW shit, there has to be a common ground some fucking where. There has to be a middle ground somewhere where we can agree, or even agree to disagree, but goddamn. Sorry to say it, all you black pill MGTOW motherfuckers, you're stupid. Men and women need each other. All you beta fucking simp, mangina simp motherfuckers, y'all are stupid too, because women need us. And they need us to be men. Do I have the answer? Not just yet. But I do know the cause, and I do know the symptoms. So that's a start. And putting this information out there for others to digest, think about, and come back with their own ideas is how we get conversations started. And if we can get legit conversations started in good faith, we can figure this shit out. Another long one, but not quite as long as the last one. But I'm gonna end that there and just let y'all chop it up in the comments and in your own personal lives, in real life, because that's where life fucking happens. Stew on it, marinate, you know what I mean? Let it swirl around in your head. And use your fucking common sense, y'all. Get your boy, your uncle, your mans and them. Give me a like and a subscription and a comment. I'm up to 20 subscribers, y'all. I started 2 weeks ago, I had 14. So I'm up 6. Hey, that's what's up. You know, this ain't that typical manosphere red pill shit. That's why I won't attach those labels. But fuck, man, we gotta come to some kind of resolution to this shit, or we're all fucked. So holla at your boy in the comment section. Let me know what you fuck with, what you don't fuck with, what you like, what you don't like, what you agree with, what you don't. Let's chop it up. As always, middle fingers up, put 2 fingers in your ass, spread them apart, say peace.